ones.
God. Well, it's about the general topic of it, so.
I hope so. Okay. Well, let's get going. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 589, Shipping Wars in Cartoons and Why They Suck. I'm assuming this is going to be a conversation between online communities or groups of people who say, I like this pairing, I like that pairing, your idea is dumb, mine is better, and there's this silly forum posts that go back and forth why my favorite pairing is better than your favorite pairing or whatever. I don't know how these go. I don't really care. It's kind of goofy. Usually, I don't pay attention to this, but interestingly enough, some shows like anime, Fate Stay Night's a great example, where the Fate series just goes through each heroine as an entire part of the game, because that's how the game was created. So the first one is Saber, the second one is Rin, and the third one is Sakura, I believe. So that's this game as a story. So you unlock the next part of the game. So everyone's happy, I guess. Everyone gets a run at what would happen if the main character fell in love with this female. Oh my god. And interestingly enough, each of the stories get worse and worse. So yay romance. I don't know, romance is not a big deal.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. Those games are made on the basis of choosing your own adventure, and in that respect, choosing your own waifu.
They're dating sims essentially, but with this whole
very elaborate one
fighting storyline with magical people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what these shows are about, but
this is. I bet this is, as you mentioned, and we might, from the title, we might be agreeing with this even.
Sure.
This is about the standard obsession of fangirls, usually that we've talked about, like the people like Noralities, that push their fantasy on who should fuck with whom, including in children's shows.
Right. Some of these shows,
onto it, and these things go to shit, especially when the creators of the show start to listen to that.
Oh, well, that's a whole other issue. But some of these shows aren't about romance, unless you want to talk about soap operas, and then it's all melodramatic, wishy-washy crap.
That's what these are. This is like these fans. They're almost always girls. Oh. They're all about melodrama.
Well, that's why
they only care about the soap aspects. Look at the writers of She-Hulk. That's why that show is utter crap.
Well, I don't know,
because that is just bad drama written by hacks that don't care about anything but drama, but they're also bad at it.
Yeah, I have no idea who actually watches those shows because the quality of the writing is just all over the place. So it could be a bunch of people who like Marvel and they go, "Oh wow, She-Hulk! I wasn't expecting that." And then, oh, it's crap, regardless of whether you're a She-Hulk fan or not. And we talk about romance. I'm sure there's some romance in there. Every comedy has some element of romance. It gets strange when comedy and romance are not the main elements of drama. Like you talk about video games. Some video games have optional romance quests or side stories or side characters. And you're like, that's cool. But then that's all you get from these people. It's all they talk about. Like, this is my favorite character and this is why. And they write stories and draw pictures and they use 3D arts and they have all kinds of poses and do all these fun things. You're like, that's great. I mean, you love the game, but that's the wrong reason to appreciate the game. It's not to worship a side character or a potential subplot, unless there's some really great story with it. But I have not seen one outside of like Baldur's Gate 2, maybe, where it's like, oh, that's a really cool, like they put a lot of effort into having romance, and it's just maybe 4 or 5 large chunks of dialogue throughout the game per character. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. That your conflict and what we're doing and how you got involved and your side plot makes sense. So I like that. I liked a lot of that in Baldur's Gate. Sadly, since then, it's never really gotten that much better outside of, I could argue, Mass Effect. But they make DLC for that now, just for that character.
Graphics have largely replaced writing.
In a sense,
because
yes.
as graphics got better, and put that in quotation marks, because especially in the 2000s, while you can make the argument on one end that was maybe the biggest transition from 2D to 3D, and 3D at first looked very shit compared to 2D. But as that moved on, writing just went downhill. Because it was always just, oh, look, the new graphics, the better graphics, the more realistic graphics, and that was all the selling point of everything.
Right,
and you don't need gameplay then. You don't need writing.
Right.
It's just about, oh, look at the better graphics.
And compare it to KOTOR 1, where we still had the Muppet mouths moving with, like, Jennifer playing, what was her name? Damn, what was her name? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
Bastilla Sean. There we go. Bastilla Sean. I was like, what the hell? Sean something. I was like, what the hell? Bastilla. Yeah, so she had this, whole elaborate, interconnected story about the reveal of Revan and how she's emotional and there's a bond going. And there's other optional romances, I think, throughout the story. But she's more like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And then we have later in the Star Wars universe with her children, it's like, oh, okay, so obviously she had kids. So there are times where it's like, that's a good story with fully voiced characters and without the talking Dr. Paul Ekman head. So it's just this Muppet, moving in their mouth, and her playing hard to get for like hours and hours. So, but that's.
I mean, we still have the just bobbing head thing is still something that's used. You usually see that in Japanese games.
Yep.
But this level of good writing with decision making at the same time is something that Western RPGs were known for, and basically on that level only Western RPGs, and that almost exclusively came from one company.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
and
of
that is sad.
I'm trying to think of like secondary characters or plot related romances like Final Fantasy Tactics with Ovelia the princess and the main buddy of yours who turns evil, and that's interconnected with him to get power, and how it ends is very tragic, very Shakespearean, and it's like, oh, that's part of the story. It's not a thing that happens because it's an option, or not even to the main character. It happens because that makes perfect sense with the plot, and the characters end up the way they do as a result. So there's ways to do it.
Yeah, that's a linear story, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So of those, there are a lot of games that do this nicely. But getting back to this year, I just realized how bloody impossibly ugly Star's head looks from the side. With this giant jaw protruding forward, and she has no forehead at all.
Well, I like her eyes are the same shape, whether it's from the side or from the front. Probably.
Like, holy shit! Like, where's her brain? Is that just her hair?
Is this the CalArt style? I don't know what you call this.
This is CalArt.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right.
And this show was. I found it interesting in the beginning. But it keeps falling apart, and it has some animation errors that are just bloody hilarious, where things are on the wrong layer. Like, people move through objects at certain points. It's why does this happen? But yeah, they just realized that the longer I stare at this frame, I realized that Star has an impossible head, and if she was a real person, that jaw, holy bloody hell, is she ugly?
Well, if we're going to talk about romance in these stories, I'm assuming there's a lot of romance in this particular story, unless it's about, I'm assuming magic, like she's a magical girl or something like that.
Oh God, it's the romance in Star vs. Forces of Evil is absolutely fucked up. Like, you'd have less nightmares from a Lovecraft story if when you start thinking about what is actually going on in Star versus Forces of Evil. The puberty episode about Star, because she's a different species from a magical other world, that's actually interesting because she goes into this weird magic butterfly form that is completely obsessed with boys. And it's an actual, it's a movie monster. She turns into puberty for her species is turning into a movie monster.
Cool.
That was kind of fun and hilarious, and also a bit taking the jab at obsessed girls. That's why I found, okay, this show might actually not be just SJW trash. And another part, Marco gets to be, he needs to find dimensional scissors, which is how you make portals to get to other places. And he tries to earn them from the demon girl that makes them. And that leads to him being trapped in other worlds on an Odyssey for 30 years. He's growing up in that time. He's becoming this buff man. I think he loses a limb at some point when you see him all grown up. And for a time, he didn't even know why he was still going on. He had all these crazy Mad Max adventures and Conan the Barbarian adventures that are all implied. And then when he finally gets it done, he didn't give up. He got turned back into his young self that started the journey, but he retained all the memories. Because it's implied by he sits down at his laptop at the end of the episode and wants to boot it up, and then like, what was my password? Because it's been 30 years that he sat on that. So he's now, I don't know, 16 or something in his body, but mentally he is in his 40s.
Oh dear. Sounds like,
and they didn't redact that. He didn't forget about that time. Yeah. He is an old man now in this child's body, and Star is still this insane teenage magical girl that's technically she's a villain.
See, that sounds exactly like Enzo from Mainframe when he leaves Mainframe and he travels the net or whatever, and he loses an eye and comes back with this.
Enzo, was that the boy or the Guardian guy?
Well, yeah, it was the boy. It was the little guy with the hat, and then he gets lost. And
I think I remember that. I only saw it as a kid. I heard they made a reboot of Reboot.
Oh no, it's
probably shit.
I don't. Oh, they did.
Not the original?
I don't know. I have no idea if there's a reboot, but this was throughout the series, and he comes back with this.
I think I remember that vaguely. That was cool.
Yeah, no, they really did a great job with Reboot, but it sounds exactly like that setup. But as soon as you have an older man, this is even in isekais where you have older men being reincarnated into younger people's bodies, like babies or female children.
Yeah. But there you can still always kind of make the argument because it's another world. Marco is just time was moving faster for him on this magical Odyssey.
Yeah.
So he was aging, and then he's just comes back to the present and is just returned to this boy body, and that is the big difference because he's still in the same world now. More or less on the same day, or maybe a week passed or something, and it's like insane. He's an adult. He's a middle-aged man mentally.
But in manga and those sorts of stories, you have the internal monologue of these characters saying, "Oh, I have to act like a child now, even though I'm 45, and I'm in a body of a 9-year-old, so I have to act like I'm."
The show doesn't follow through with that.
Oh yeah.
If the show had followed through with that now,
yeah,
where Marco is this really grown-up person, that would be amazing. Instead, they then do a drag episode where he gets stuck in a mansion for these magical girls from other worlds, being put in a dress and mistaken for Princess Marco, and brainwashed into being a proper princess and shit, like basically forced feminization, which is one of the fetishes of the SJWs. Like, how can you do this?
All right, okay. Let's get going. It's a 20 minutes, 21-second video, It's got how many upvotes? 15,000 upvotes, 188 downvotes. This came out September of this year. Almost 274,000 views. So good for you, Mr. Cartoonshi. Cartoonshi. Okay. There we go.
Really, you guys are just starting?
Just started.
Oh my god.
Here we go.
I was Gingerman. Have you ever tried explaining the insanity of the characters and relationships of Star vs. Forces of Evil? You can't do that in a sentence.
Okay.
I tilted him.
Let's go.
I know that pain.
Hi.
Gingerman.
Relationships between certain characters are a key part of the
What's
audience's
happening?
engagement of a movie.
Stop it. What's going on?
My browser's acting up.
Wait,
Sorry.
what happened?
Let's try again.
No, I wanted Gingerman's opinion on Star's face from the side.
Relationships between certain
What is
characters are a
happening?
key part of the audience's engagement of a movie or TV show.
Is that his normal voice? He's talking very quickly.
I don't know.
Okay.
Whether that be friendships, complex bonds, rivalries, or especially romantic connections. Having these kinds of bonds between characters helps to strengthen the viewer's connection to the media they're consuming and to feel fully engrossed with the world where the story takes place.
Not necessarily. It could be done very poorly, and then you go, ugh, this is disgustingly stupid. I can't believe these characters are acting this way.
Like Korra.
Like anything. If you don't believe the story, it doesn't matter what you...
We haven't even mentioned the greatest offender of all this shit yet.
It could be the most relatable scene. If it's done poorly, you're like, this is stupid.
We do not speak of Korra.
Okay.
So
Or at
we
the very
speak of
least,
Ruby?
being able to
Oh, he's backwards. Look at that.
appreciate and feel things about their favorite
Oh,
characters.
he's
That doesn't help with this shot.
Persona 5 music? What's going on? Everything's backwards. I don't know what's happening.
Look,
On top
mirroring
of this
this
is
shot
also a lot
doesn't
of
help.
interesting character drama that can be written when the foundations are in place, adding an extra layer of complexity to these characters and making them act closely to real people with wants, needs, dreams, personal traumas, and a good writing.
Okay, so when characters get aroused and want to be romantically involved, we can relate to them. Okay.
He's talking too fast.
He's talking very fast. Maybe we should slow this down.
Yeah, I do watch things on double speed on YouTube, but people tend to speak clearly. When they don't, then it's hard to understand on normal speed.
Yeah.
And he is a bit, slurry?
No, he's fine. He's just fast.
Writer can make even the most terrible or mean-spirited decisions made by a character when it comes to a relationship feel natural and believable without trying to justify said action or having said action.
Okay, that's fair. Relationship is not inherently romantic, but you are inherently talking about romance. So who cares?
Shipping is about romance.
Yeah, exactly.
Quotation marks.
Exactly.
It's more about fucking, not about caring.
Whatever the fans want to fantasize about, I don't really care. But shipping means
The fantasies are usually about fucking.
I'm sure they are, but the point is they want these two people to hook up, and that doesn't. I don't care about the details. I just care about that.
They want them to kiss on screen.
Well, I'm sure in this show they do that. So
Ugh.
Lots of character, or that it borders on being intolerable. What I'm trying to say is that 1. Character writing is my absolute favorite part of writing in general, and it's what I tend to focus on when it comes to some of my favorite pieces.
Okay, I know what his problem is with speaking. He has a clenched jaw. He doesn't get his lower jaw away from his upper jaw. He talks through his teeth all the time. I know some people like that in the environmentalist scene. I don't know why. There are families that it just seems to be running in the genes, and they never get their teeth apart, and that's why they sound like they did too many drugs and got what we call Maulsperre in German.
well, you can technically talk faster if your mouth is a lot closer to or your jaw is a lot closer to your upper part of your mouth. So.
I can confirm. I used to talk like this until I was like,
Until I discovered beer. Okay.
Until someone put a saw device on your head that forced your jaw apart.
no beer and no jaw device. I'm just like, I just got my shit together and actually just practice in the mirror.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Cool. No logopedics needed. You can do it alone.
Okay.
And by
There is hope for people.
And I did it by high school too, so pretty early.
All right. Let's go.
Of media ever. And at number 2, modern cartoons tend to suck fucking dick at romantic relationships. Now, I don't mean
Yes,
all of them,
they do.
obviously, but romance is something that even some of the best modern cartoons don't seem to be.
This is the best modern cartoons, really?
Everything is CalArts.
Oh god.
I mean, well, regular show is actually good. I don't know about the others.
Like, yes, there are always exceptions. I personally have never seen regular show. I heard it's well received.
Yes.
Well, I can't speak from experience, so I'm assuming this is generally accepted as good.
You know, only exceptions in this style that stand out positively are Gravity Falls, Gumball, and this, if it counts towards it.
It does.
Okay.
I've seen almost the whole show. It does.
Okay.
However, this is not a kids' cartoon. Regular
Uh-huh.
show is not a kids' cartoon, as far as I'm aware. And romance usually has little place in them.
Interesting. So it's not a story about romance, but there's like romantic elements. What was the show with the girl Star against the evil? Or
Star
whatever?
vs. Forces of Evil.
Yes.
That's technically supposed to be a kids' cartoon.
But it's
It is.
It has some jokes that are okay for like teenagers,
yeah, but
but
it has romance as a main element.
Kinda, sorta, because you have the boy-girl team.
Right. Okay, that's fine. I don't really care. I just want to make sure that that's what he's talking about because
But it's not. It's not the front thing. But it's technically these two characters should end up with
Right.
each other by the end.
right. Okay.
Able to write well. Whether that's dragging everything out for an unnecessary amount of time, out of character decisions, pointless love triangles, questionable at best ethics, or just being plain frustrating. Plenty of otherwise exceptional shows can fall into traps like this, especially when romance itself is arguably one of the most delicate strands of character relationships. Romance makes people do stupid things. It's the unwritten rule you sign with blood, sweat,
Not necessarily. If it's a comedy show and you're going to introduce romance, you should make it funny. That's just normal. So if you want the character to be stupid because he's crazy in love and doesn't know what to do and he's scared and excited and da-da-da, fine. There's plenty of examples of comedy and romance from Shakespeare, which is not a bunch of goofy people running around and bonking each other on the head. They're generally confused as to what's going on because there's magic and fairies and all kinds of crap. So you can do normal things without degrading the character at all.
Yeah. If you ever get the chance to see a honest, like authentic, not modern interpretation, but authentic play of Midsummer Night's Dream, go watch it. Whether it's at your big theater, if you have something like that, or whether it's the students of the university club doing it, go watch it. It's a wonderful play, and you'll laugh your ass off.
and all of your hopes and dreams when you fall in love with someone. Can you tell that I listen to Weezer yet? But even knowing that, there are so many times where both as a kid who grew up watching some of these shows and as a recently turned adult.
Okay, seriously, this guy needs punctuation, which leads to pauses, and he needs to stop slurring from one word into the next. Like there are spaces between words. They are also relevant. They are also characters. Don't ignore them. Don't erase the spaces.
Okay.
It also doesn't help that it's slowed down.
Well, we have to slow it down because he's.
I know, but I'm just like
I had more trouble when it's fast. Like it's still difficult because of this. It doesn't sound like speech.
even movie Bob sounds more coherent.
Yeah, it sounds like a weird combination of trying to do Yahtzee, but with a aloof, smug, slurred, half-drunk way of speaking.
Like it's probably a British accent of some kind, but I can't. Like it's not very strong, so it's
What drunk Yahtzee?
Drunk.
I honestly, I only know this sort of speaking from people who are left-green activists.
Oh.
Because they have this jaw issue for some reason. Like, not all of them, but there are some families that have this running, and they're all left-wing. I don't know why. And the only other people that I know have this are people who take too many drugs and their jaws cramp up and they can't move them anymore.
Okay.
While they're like either on drugs or detoxing. I don't know. Worked with people like that, and you can still understand them, but they have to really try to speak. He's not trying to speak clearly.
Okay. All right.
Neil in the chat disagreeing with me on the movie Bob comparison. No, this guy is a bit harder to understand with how much he's not.
Oh my god!
Separating words.
Well, Movie Bob has the vocabulary that makes us stop and go, "What did he just say?" Let's try that one more time.
Yeah, but at least when you go back, you actually hear words from Movie Bob. This guy.
Joe Crazy in the chat just told me that he did say that he based his YouTube persona off of ER. You failed.
Oh.
Sorry.
ER's retarded cousin, I guess.
Yeah, because ER speaks clearly, and he's funny. So we'll see whether you're funny, but for that we first need to be able to understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. I wish we had subtitles.
This is completely unrelated to whatever the content is, what you're speaking about, because if we can't understand what you're saying, it's pointless to make anything.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go.
Where I was left gobsmacked at some of the choices made when it came to these characters and their love lives. On one hand, I appreciate the cartoons that are mostly aimed at a demographic of children, well, mostly is a loose term for regular show and Korra, try to show that romance can be messy, that people are very much imperfect and can do stupid things in the name of love. It's mature and kind of honest in that sense.
No, first off, that's not what's shown in Korra is not love but infatuation, which is probably the highest form that these hack writers are able to feel themselves, because they're not adults themselves. And you really start to sound smug here. I don't think we're fundamentally disagreeing so far, but it's just Stop talking like this.
All right. Anyway, here's the Giga Chat. Thank you, sir. This guy sounds like Jennifer Jason Leigh after 6 months of HRT. Also, on the real, the shipping war stuff is mostly fought by children and emotionally stunted 30-year-olds. I think trying to pose a solution to it is a waste of time. He's setting up the video so far, showing us, I think, 2 or 3 shows that he might know. And I'm assuming the community who watches these shows has a weird Facebook group where they argue this all the time. And he's going to show, hopefully, that this is stupid and childish and, you know, like disgruntled adults who watch kids shows and get fed up with whatever.
I mean, why do you think shipping is one of the best ways for a fan base to tear itself apart?
It's everything from 14 to 40.
It's kind of weird because when I was listening to fans of BioWare games, they have romance options, but no one's like, "Oh, that's a stupid thing." That's like, no one cares. It's like, yeah, whatever, enjoy.
At least, as far as I remember, at least no one in any of BioWare's games are underage.
No.
Yeah,
they're aliens or they're magical being. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So.
Yeah.
500-year-old pixies.
I wish.
Japan.
All right.
On the other hand, a lot of this stuff can be pretty problematic at worst, especially when it comes so out of left field for certain character. I want to look back at a select few shows that have become infamous for their poor handling of romance.
Hey, Flame Princess was a good girl.
Yes.
Think what you will about Adventure Time, where it goes bonkers later on, but Flame Princess was actually a good matchup for Finn.
And I don't think Adventure Time is all about romance anyway. There might be 1 or 2 episodes that focus on
it's literally
a couple more. Some of them are really creepy that shouldn't have been made.
The premise of the show is literally in the name.
Right. So I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind like when Star Trek has an episode where they just focus on relationships. It's like, okay, sure, have some fun with your characters that have been around for 4 or 5 years. So great. But you don't do it all the time. It's like that's a bit too much. We're not here to watch a bunch of people kiss and get angry at each other.
Say that, but Adventure Time literally pretty much ripped off like one of Picard's better episodes in TNG.
Oh yeah.
The one where it's like he's hallucinating an entire separate life for himself. What was that one called?
Ooh.
Oh, the one with the flute?
Yes, the flute. What was the name?
Oh, that episode was amazing.
That's the Inner Light. Yeah, it's one of the best episodes.
The Inner Light. Yeah, Adventure Time literally did its own version of the Inner Light.
Ooh. See?
And it's like, and I think, and even Finn, like when he gets older in that hallucination world, he's literally voiced by John Frakes when he gets older.
Really? Jonathan Frakes?
It's literally Jonathan Frakes when he becomes an adult and an old man. Yeah.
Oh, see, you steal from the best.
Adventure Time is the cartoon that has very high ups and very deep lows.
So basically, season 2
low,
of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, thankfully that Adventure Time has more highs than lows, but the lows hit hard.
The lows are I'm serious. Some of these episodes should not have been made, like the one where that's about kissing and that being an allegory for sex, and
Ooh.
Finn is now kissing everyone, including tree trunks.
Yeah,
It's like,
stupid.
what the fuck? Why is this existing?
I mean, I'll happily admit that the homage to Inner Light from Adventure Time is one of the things that got me into Star Trek in the first place.
Wow.
Because I knew that was based on the TNG episode. I'm just like, what? This is based on something. Oh wait, TNG, Star Trek. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, and the show has done something good.
Yeah. It introduced me to Star Trek.
Okay, what a weird connection. Let's keep going.
And analysing precisely where things went off the rails. Now I will preface that this title is a little weird, and what I mean by shipping wars is that oftentimes the shipping of these characters can feel awkward and many of the facepalm worthy scenes are incredibly forced. I guess it also applies to shows that have love triangles or shows that are literally built on romance as a concept. It's a big blanket term for a lot of things is what I'm saying. I also recognise that I could have just
Seriously, if this is supposed to be based on ER knows what punctuation is.
All right, let's just keep going. He's getting to his point here.
I'll try not to complain about it anymore.
All right.
said relationships instead of shipping wars, but I gotta get the video seen somehow without resorting to clickbait, and as you all know by now,
Money, 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 money.
Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me.
I don't think this is
Wait. So he's just making a joke in the title. He's just talking about the romance and the stories as opposed to people outside the show talking about the show, saying, I think these two... Is
Did
that...
he just admit that he was clickbaiting?
I think he's just said that, yeah.
Well, I mean, at least he got that. At least he threw that out right off the bat.
I know, but then we're like, dude, why did you even bother?
You know what you could do? You could still make the title that you think is clickbaity and then talk about the actual topic that's the title.
He would have known. He's in the community. He knows the shows, yeah.
Makes no difference.
Ugh. Here we go. So he's just talking about romance in all these shows because he likes them. Good enough. Okay.
that captures the sentiment of this video as purely as Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Star vs. is a modern tragedy of biblically fucked up proportions. Every new detail I discover about this show's decline fuels my urge to aggressively cyberbully it, but I already did that years ago with a very bad YouTube video.
Oh my god. Okay. So this guy
It's too loud.
likes the show and he's bashing it because it went bad.
I would, yeah, but it's justified because this show had potential. It had a lot of potential. Then it did just utterly stupid and
It went
nonsensical
the way,
things.
It went the way of the Steven Universe and just made like the latter parts of it just not just lore dumps.
And it doesn't even make sense.
Not as
It's
bad as
contradictory.
Steven Universe. Yeah, not as bad as Steven Universe, but still pretty low.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's such a waste because it had a few really interesting characters like Ludo, I think was his name.
This is basically like me doing an analysis of Mass Effect or Dragon Age, and then I'm going to talk about, hey, here's romance in Dragon Age. Here's when Hawk does this, and you're like, okay, why?
Yeah, but he's going to explain to us why this show handled it bad. I hope.
I guess.
Wasn't Ludo was Ludo the lizard guy?
No, Ludo was the bird guy.
Yeah, they threw him out into the garbage as soon as they could.
That's so sad because Ludo had a hero's journey. That's amazing. Like the a villain who was building himself up after total defeat. That was fun.
And then the show said, "Screw that, action focus."
Well, Ludo also fit somewhat with his magic stuff.
Well, the magic wasn't even his, as we found out later.
Yeah, but doing his whole hero's journey thing, he could have then developed his own shit or whatever. Come on.
Okay.
I think
Don't
Martin
throw that guy out.
Uribe may have reminded me. I think it was Toffee who was remembering.
Yeah, Toffee was the reptile guy.
Yeah, the guy that literally had half of the wand's power just sitting there, in his hand.
Okay.
Instead, we'll take jabs at Starverse's unresting hard-on for romance and pointless love triangles, head-scratching and cringe-worthy relationships, and how it didn't just drop the ball because of it, but instead dropped an active bomb. Starcode, a ship between Star and Marco, was a ship as old as the show itself.
That's not a ship. That is the implied thing. It's the main thing.
Yeah, that was
To
set
call
up
that a ship is I think disingenuous from the start, and also shows that the teenage girls who do this don't understand the whole concept themselves.
Yeah, this was set up from the beginning.
Yeah, because the main relationship is like the obvious thing. That's not a ship. That's the thing that's supposed to happen.
Yes.
And it made
It's like Link and Zelda. You don't ship Link and Zelda. Link and Zelda are already the pair.
They are meant to be.
Yes.
perfect sense. Star and Marco had fantastic chemistry together, and the show's bouncy energy and kinetic action scenes helped to emphasize that synergy between the two. By the way, the first season of Star Vs. is seriously worth watching because it genuinely does hold up really well. Also, it's funny to look at how much the animation dropped off a cliff with season 2.
It didn't fuck itself up yet in season 1.
Yeah, but then he just said it's bad because the animation's bad later. It's like, I don't care. Is the story any good?
Really, literally this... I just heard literally the same argument people use for season 4 of Batman. I'm just like, really? It's something that superfluous.
Yeah, it's like, I don't really care if they don't have enough money for animation. If they can produce a show that's animated and on a budget or whatever, and it's still worth watching because the story, like the Batman animated series, I don't care if they don't give me like 17 million colors as opposed to 16 or whatever. That's fine.
I don't care if the Joker looked way off compared to his original appearance. The stories were still good with him.
Yeah, the whole black lipstick thing, they changed how he looked later on.
No, they took out the lipstick altogether and they made his eyes like black with white pupils. But
right,
in my opinion, it really isn't that bad.
Doesn't bother me.
It looks a bit too simple, but it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
Even then, they made it up. They made up for it anyway in Justice League.
I wonder what made them make that artistic choice.
You wonder what you cut out there.
Well, it's just different animators and different leads that are in charge.
I wonder what made them change to Joker's appearance.
Well, it's not just Joker; it's the whole art style.
The creative process behind that.
Well, you can't hire the same guy for, was it like 9 years? I don't know how long that show went on for.
It's not a hire the guy question. This is an artistic decision of the basic concept of the character.
Yeah, but that's based off the lead art director or the keyframer or whoever does the...
Yes, and even if that guy changes and the next guy has a different vision for that, I'd like to know why that was implemented in the same show.
I mean, pretty sure it was implemented because Superman came out before that 4th season, and they just decided to streamline everything to the same style.
I think so. Yeah, something like
that.
And
that makes the pupils change and the lipstick go away.
It's everything. It's the whole color.
The art style came from Superman, and they just decided to put Batman into the same art style just to simplify things.
And how does that change the Joker's appearance?
Art style.
Everything. It changes everything.
Yeah,
That makes his lipstick go away.
But even then, in Justice League, they went back to like a hybrid between the two art styles that just made everyone happy anyway. So whatever. Yeah.
You tell me the process that things are changed, but you're not telling me the reason.
Well, you have to ask, of course, but we don't know. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going.
That's I can accept that.
I mean,
even when
Superman had the art style first, and they just put Batman in that same art style. That's the reason. Just to make things more simple.
You can still make the lipstick.
Tom, Star's ex-boyfriend with anger issues and fan favorite, was first introduced, he served his purpose for one episode that was dedicated to romance.
This guy was just annoying. The entire episode was just a drag. It went on for way too long.
Well, he's Satan. What do you expect?
And went back and forth too much. It was drawn out too much. Fan favorite, maybe for teenage borderline girls that want these abusive beast friends that they want to tame and fix or whatever. Like this guy's just horrible. The entire episode was just, I was just hoping that, can this please be over? Can we get a proper episode again? No, this is the part where I would agree that this show is fucked up with relationship crap. Right?
Can someone come in from off screen and deck this guy in the face already?
Which unfortunately was also the episode that sealed the show's fate forever, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Overall, Season 1 was great at handling the possible relationship Star and Marco could have in later episodes while not having it devolve into the entire focus of the show. However, problems began to arise quickly going into Season 2, and even at the time of me watching it all those years ago, my eyebrow raised up through the fucking skyline when hearing this exchange.
Starco was completely platonic.
Starco?
Make sure there's no possibility of them ever being a thing.
I think Season 2 is good, but man did it make some crucial mistakes. What started as a believable and innocent little ship as a small part of an action comedy show had turned into a mushy teen melodrama consisting of—
Okay, wait, so he's saying the term ship within the show, not someone's fantasy.
In relationship to that Devil Boy character, that's picking up youth language. Because 20 years ago, nobody was using the term shipping, at least not this broadly.
Okay, so he's not referring to a fantasy. This is just the story telling itself. Okay.
Yes,
yeah, it became a fan thing from the show doing it first.
Yes, because you could in one way you can see this as a fourth wall break by using out of show language. However, since this is trying to emulate that audience, you could argue that it can make sense that the crazy devil guy uses shipping language like Starco.
Yeah,
but it's I'd say it's cringeworthy. Honestly, when people talking like that for real.
I mean, it's just cringy on there. It's just cringy on its own where a show like this acknowledges shipping culture in general.
Well, you could also
make it a plot point.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you could at least still interpret that shipping thinking and language is done by really horrible people. And that's why I was always a bit ambivalent on well, does Star have potential? Is it shit? Does it just have accidental blunders? Well, over time it just went into the shithole. I'd say it had great potential.
Yeah.
The writers smashing their toys together until the debris created something resembling a story hook. The whole thing with Jackie was, fine, I guess, but it started the show's complete and utter fascination with love triangles and trying to match up one of the main characters every few episodes with someone who could possibly create conflict, trying its best to avoid Starco and holding it like a carrot on a fishing pole, despite the obvious fact of it being endgame. The possibility of Starco is what kept shippers climbing through the avalanche of confusion that was Star versus the forces of evil. The story took a back deceit and romance and shipping fueled the show. It drained it of any
You could make the argument that by doing this, you show that the characters learn that they don't really fit with these other people and naturally work better with themselves, with like Marco and Star. But I agree that focus is wrong for this show. It should have stayed on silly adventures and world building, not this socializing crap. But that's what you get when you have stupid women writing this stuff, because that's all that they can think about. Stupid socializing crap. And it also shows that they don't really understand how relationships work, which should tell you a lot. So if you wonder why your relationship with the crazy girl doesn't work, that's not your fault. That's the crazy girl doesn't understand how relationships work. She just blames and projects it onto you.
Life, it lost that energy and charm that made the first season so great. And in mid-season 3 and 4, the whole thing just got really fucking silly. I mean, they literally put Marco and Kelly together out of nowhere with the subtlety of screaming bomb in a public space. And after not even showing them together for more time than that one bit at the end of the episode, they suddenly split off screen, which is revealed in an offhand comment. And this is supposed to be a twist? It's not even a twist, it's just a nothing payoff to such a nothing relationship. It was only written for one episode to stir up intrigue and drama. The Star, Marco, and Jackie love triangle had already run its course by the time Tom came back into the picture, and the back and forth of Star, Marco, and Tom constantly lying to each other, changing their minds constantly, wanting to be together and triggering jealousy in one another, literally cheating on each other. Hell, I only included Jackie in that first sentence because she is part of the convoluted Lovelyverse of midness, but she is genuinely, no joke, the only one of these people that acts like a likable human being. I guess besides Tom later in the season, but that's besides the point. And distances herself from this melodramatic circle of backstabbers. I'll just say it now, Marco deserved better than Sailor Moon Thanos over here for one, but also that even if these started out as realistic and messy relationship problems teenagers would have, they are miserably dragged out, flat out annoying, and by the time Starco is actually confirmed, the show is practically self-destructed, so you know, congrats. Looking back at this show makes me just a little bit sad, is what I would be saying if I wasn't laughing my ass off at every conceivable turn. Starverses felt like a show made by shippers, for shippers, that eventually the shippers themselves got tired of. There's only so many times you can pull the same trick before it starts becoming really mundane and
kind of like Ruby.
Ugh.
At least after the inventor died.
Money on, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just because that's just a shipping fest for a totally niche audience that is only these insane people. I've heard they that Hollywood, or at least certain of these companies, are starting to throw out these creepy, stupid, narcissistic activists because it turns out these companies in the end do care about money, at least when they start running out of it. Maybe there's hope on the horizon.
Hopefully,
if humanity still exists in 5 years.
If it does, hopefully David Zaslav can save Warner Brothers Discovery with what he's doing.
We'll just be driving around with kerosene diesel hybrids or something.
Imagine humanity still existing in 5 years and getting good entertainment again.
Oh, well.
Until then, we just have to watch Bollywood movies.
Yeah.
Until then, we gotta get ready for the inevitable Mad Max future.
But okay, for the Mad Max future to be possible, you have to learn on how to build a mechanical car without electrical parts.
Well, we're done for.
Damn.
All right.
frustrating.
He did the same joke About 3 times already. I don't think it's funny anymore.
You just want to go back to the genuinely interesting story? Never mind, you ruined it in service of this genocidal fuck. Sorry. All in all, it's good to look back at Star and just laugh, really. I can't feel sad. The melodrama is on CW levels. I am not exaggerating. It just sits uncomfortably in infamy as the show that lets shipping decide its fate. Also, it will forever be hilarious to me that the character that's literally based on multiple of Nefty's ex-boyfriends has the most actual character development in the show. Meanwhile, the characters based on her and her actual husband get the worst writing. That's just... how do you do that? Now, I would like to...
That is easy. Because she still thinks about her ex-boyfriend, and this is a projection of how she hopes that he would have become her amazing dream version of how he should have been, while giving a shit about her husband, who's just the beta excuse, like, not that's the wrong word. The fallback, right? Nobody likes to learn that he's the fallback husband.
Oh, great!
Got it.
Anyway, on to another show.
That's just dropping the truth like that.
To make it clear that Star is in its own league of bad when it comes to this stuff, and that not every show on here is on that same level. Well, some are just plain fucking worse, but there are other shows that don't have romance as the main plot point that still tend to fumble it when trying to get all complicated with it, or when they attempt to show character progression through it. Case in point... Regular Show and Adventure Time. I am not going to insinuate at all that Regular Show is bad. It's a jolly good show, and despite my reservations with Adventure Time's later seasons, you cannot deny how important and beloved that show is. These two shows don't really focus on romance, that's not even what they devolve into. They are nowhere close to Starco levels. However, to say these shows don't get frustrating when they do give some time to their romantic subplots would be giving them a bit too much leeway. Regular Show's issue largely stems from Mordecai's relationship problems with Margaret and CJ. Easily the most frustrating part of Regular Show is how goddamn long this stupid love triangle lasts. Love triangles are rarely ever done well, and from a storytelling perspective there are often really cheap ways to create character drama and...
Wait. Love triangles are rarely done well? By what standard? By cartoons? I don't know, maybe, but any romance comedy, that's kind of what you need. You gotta give me a love triangle, or it's just like one person in conflict with another. And that's the antagonist and the protagonist, the male and the female. And he's trying to woo her, and she says no, and then she likes him, but he does not interested in her anymore. And there's someone else. It's like, oh, love triangle, wow.
Spider-Man 3, anyone?
It's why is that? How is that bad on average? Like what is he talking about?
Now you have interesting ones like Batman Catwoman is a pseudo triangle.
Okay.
Because Batman knows who Catwoman is. Catwoman doesn't know who Batman is. But Catwoman actually loves Batman, not Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
And that's why Batman doesn't start a relationship with her.
I would say Lois Lane,
Batman.
Superman more is probably...
How is it a triangle?
It's a similar thing.
Yeah.
That's a similar thing.
Okay.
So I'm mainly talking about the animated series. Can you say anything about the regular show, Kingerman? This is a really ugly nose style. Looks like a little penis.
What?
Anyway, I can't speak about it either, so I don't know.
Okay, so nobody knows the regular show.
Although
it's so beloved.
I do. I'm just like, where the hell do you see a penis?
Don't worry, it's a German thing.
Just start talking.
It's fine.
conflict. Even though Mordecai becomes a better person from all of this, as seen from the ending, it is downright impressive how much he manages to fumble the bag with both of these characters. It starts out as a messy but believable struggle, but after a while this conflict gets really drawn out with constant misunderstandings, lies, and Mordecai being a complete dumbass and not learning a thing. When most people complain about Mordecai, they tend to unironically use the simp argument, which is true.
It's Mr. MVP!
But so many people seem to just brush off the Margaret and CJ love triangle when it was easily the worst part of the show for me. There's writing characters with believable struggles and then just having a character repeatedly make the absolute worst decisions possible and actively playing with the feelings of a character who, by all intents and purposes, barely did anything wrong. CJ just got the absolute worst treatment of any character in this show. She has a dangerously short temper and reacted out of jealousy a lot, but nothing she did compared to how much Mordecai and Margaret complicated things with their lingering feelings for one another. Okay, she did almost kill them that one time when the writers thought replacing her entire identity with being jealous was a good idea. It just makes no sense for the writers to drop Mordecai's IQ below Arctic level, specifically when it comes to romance. Regular show's messy shipping is realistic for a...
Isn't that just guys in general?
No, Mordecai was absolutely a colossal fuck up when it came to romance.
Okay. Someone in chat, Underworld Dream, said that Marco has better chemistry with every other person than Star, the person he ended up with. Yeah, that's a good observation. That's I would agree with that. Which also says a lot about that relationship between the creator and her husband.
Got him.
Great.
While, but by the end of season 6, it's just plain silly.
I just wanted to start over.
Seems like everyone always wants to start over. Why don't you guys just get it right the first time?
Jesus Christ, thank you. I'm also glad that pretty much everyone agrees that Mordecai intruding on Muscle Man's wedding and making a moment about himself just so he can mess up again and drive CJ out of the show was a dick move. Margaret and Mordecai stay friends after this too, if you can even call it that. They have such terrible chemistry after season 6. There's no satisfying payoff for any of this. It's just horrible decision after horrible decision, and it lasts for far longer than necessary. Seeing a cartoon have the maturity to show this side of dating is very much welcomed, and it shows a sense of maturity regular show had over pretty much everything else airing at the time. But they just never managed to make it work with Mordecai, and it gets tiring, which is a shame because then you look over to Rigby and he actually manages to have and maintain a healthy relationship with Eileen that's both fun to watch and actually keeps my attention. They remain together even in the show's final scene, and the way Rigby grills Mordecai and dumped at the altar and tells him to follow his gut for once shows just how much he's grown as a person from his relationship with Eileen. That's the most frustrating part of regular show for me. The fact that all of this was intentional. Every character in this show is sick of Mordecai screwing up at every turn. It makes you question why they couldn't have just stopped when it was getting old. Why did they have to drag it out this long?
That sounds like that's part of the story as a whole. That he's this incompetent guy when it comes to other people.
He's a romantic retard.
Right. If you want to watch that kind of show, that's what you got here. That's fine. Is it
triangle sucked?
Yeah, is it frustrating? I guess it would be, but I guess that's the point. To showcase that
style of talking that draws out and draws out and draws out.
Yeah, he can't make his decision. He doesn't know why. He has all these feelings. Doesn't know what to do with them. He can't figure out his life. It's like, all right, that's who he is. That's the story.
He makes all the wrong decisions with this.
Right. I get it. It's frustrating, but that's kind of the point. Slice of life. It's easy.
Well, I guess in comparison, Adventure Time is nowhere near as bad as that, and I'm only really mentioning it because of how badly they ruined Finn's relationship with Flame Princess. Now, I get that this episode was very divisive, and I'm also going to get people who disagree with this, but regardless of how well this episode sets up Finn's future development, and it is genuinely really good, it just felt weirdly out of character. Tackling the idea of Finn just being unreasonably horny in a way that's kid friendly, of course, and I get that they wanted to tackle that stuff with maturity, but it really ruins Finn for a long while. You can be realistic, but
there's a problem with Pendleton Ward, who is not a very mature person himself. Don't expect immature people writing mature stories.
Yep.
That's the main problem. He knows his little philosophical gigs and quantum physics, pop knowledge, but that's it. And that's sadly what makes Adventure Time not as deep as it seems, but instead it's very pretentious. There's not as much under the surface as you think you interpret into it.
I just like how he characterized Finn as being too horny, but for kids. You're like, what? Okay.
The kissing episode definitely is.
Okay. It sounds like it's a very small part of the show. It's nothing specific.
I think he means just letting his crush get the better of him. I think.
I hope.
Yeah, well, that infatuation is also not uncommon.
Yes.
Especially when it first hits you in your life, like all you have in your mind is the person you have to crush on. If nothing else matters anymore. That happens to some people. It's like the first is a very, very innocent version of that, at least for the non-insane children that get into, like, this is the part where you get from child to teenager.
Right.
You're still not an adult, but because these confusing things happen that you have to figure out, because it doesn't matter how much you would read up on this beforehand, it will fuck you up.
Doesn't make an episode enjoyable to watch by default. I won't spend too much time on it, but Finn acted so out of character for this one episode, making his girlfriend assault the Ice King for basically no reason just so he can have wet dreams. That is a real sentence that I just said. He gets better after this, but this shouldn't have happened in the first place. Flame Princess and Finn were a good couple, a little rocky for sure, but it's annoying this even happened. Random love drama being created by a character doing something he would have never done beforehand is one of the most hated writing tropes. It's not just that Finn's struggling with his hormones or whatever, it's that he goes out of his way to start a huge fight between his girlfriend and someone who's done next to nothing wrong, has her burn his entire house to the ground, and also wrote a bunch of nasty, insanely personal shit in a letter just to fuel the conflict. You can easily tackle Finn screwing his relationship up without going to this extreme level, and that's what bothers me of this episode. It's just too nasty on Finn's part and actively detracts from whatever insightful message it was trying to convey. I just couldn't make this video without mentioning this. I appreciate how much this helped him grow later in the show, but the episode itself makes Finn into an absolute monster out of nowhere. Even if you wanted to do a similar version of this episode, I'd consider significantly toning down Finn's actions because he genuinely wouldn't have sunk this low in my opinion. Also, I remembered how Cartoon Network UK tried hyping this episode up so much at the time. Even as a kid, I thought it was embarrassing.
We're kicking off with a brand new adventure, the Frost and Fire Adventure Time Marathon.
Yep.
This weekend from 11.
They played into
on
it.
Cartoon Network.
What?
They
that was a thing?
They actually played into the shit from the show. Yes.
It was all a romance story.
It was all a romance thing, yeah.
Oh.
That is so dumb.
Well, I have nothing wrong with having princesses and, you know, these sort of weird stories where you have to save each other and they're in love and there's all this conflict. This sounds like they're already a couple or they're trying to be getting together and being happy, and he just doesn't know what the flying hell he's doing.
But what did Cartoon Network UK get out of this? Did they get increased toy sales, or what, with this false advertisement, or what?
I can only assume the ratings got a bump because of this shit.
Yeah. Oh, Underworld Dream also informs that the original creator, Pendleton Ward, I suppose, left Adventure Time at season 5. So the later seasons was not done by the original creator. Later seasons forgot a lot of storyline and setup that the original creator before he left. So we have a similar situation to Monty Oma, I suppose, just without the death.
Why do I get the feeling the Frost and Fire thing was after he left?
Yeah, I think that was early.
Flame
Princess was pretty early on.
Well, yeah, Flame Princess on her own, yes, but the whole like hyping up this fight, quote unquote, only for it to be a romance thing.
I don't know. Season 5, a lot of stuff had happened by then. I don't have it in my head anymore, but I think season 5 was the backstory of the Ice King. And that's after a lot of other stuff had happened.
I think that was after. I think that might have been after Ward left. I don't know. I don't remember. I do not remember for the life of me.
And Ward left and created a new show called The Bravest Warriors, which I've, funnily enough, discovered at the same time that I got told that Adventure Time is worth a watch. And Bravest Warriors, at least at first, was funny, chaotic shit that slowly developed into something consistent, which was the part that I found interesting about it.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah, then we gassed this episode about a 16-year-old kid forcing his girlfriend to fight just so he can yank it. Oh, Avatar romance. Ow! I'd rather staple my ballsack to the ceiling than willingly talk about this. Romance is not my most hated thing from the Legend of Korra, but it's uniquely bad in a way that only Korra romance can be. I don't think it's a secret that I'm not the biggest Legend of Korra fan, but I've talked with plenty of people who love this show, and they all tend to agree that Korra fails hard at romance. Not only because of how Korra Sami happened out of nowhere, and they felt the need to make 3 very bad comics to justify a same-sex relationship they should have set up and written better in the show, especially when Nickelodeon was completely fine with it and you didn't need to handicap the execution, so, you know, congrats. But also because of the love triangles and the massive
that was mainly in season 1, and thankfully they stopped doing that shit, because these 2 hacks that were doing this, which were on the team with the original creator of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and for him, Avatar was done, the story was told, and then these 2 other guys, like D&D, who wrecked Game of Thrones, especially after Martin wasn't really doing anything on the show anymore. They made their own shit. They made their, like, Korra is basically a spin-off fan fiction of these 2 guys, and from the writing we can tell that they are hacks, that they don't understand how humans work, and possibly don't have this empathy problem that I keep talking about regularly. That's why these relationships here, these characters, absolutely make no sense, especially Korra. Why she's just a selfish asshole who doesn't give a shit about anyone. And you could have made a good story out of that. This whole nonsense of the White Lotus making the decision of, oh, we don't want another Aang happen where the Avatar is missing for 100 years, so we get overprotective Oedipal with the Avatar, lock the Avatar up, which takes away the journey that the Avatar needs in order to grow, which is what happens to an Oedipal child, that you keep locked up at home and just bring everything to the child. And this is basically Korra. She gets out. Once she gets out of that, she is incapable of dealing with the world, because she is an actual narcissist, and she has the origin story of a narcissist. The problem is the show then doesn't capitalize on that to make her character actually grow into an actual empathetic adult, where she realizes what kind of a cunt she's been all the time. That's what the show should have done with this setup.
I do like that he's addressing the people who actually do enjoy the show, and there are people out there who do, will admit that the romance is kind of bad, especially the one at the end, and that they resorted to comic books to sort of patch that to, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. Here's some comic books to make us believe it a little bit more. So that's good. That means the fans aren't like, duh, I like the show, it's perfect. No, it's like, no, there's huge problems with it. So good. But I wasn't expecting to get into that because he never showed it too much in the intro. So once again, we listened about Korra. Okay.
Yikes, that was everything leading up to Korrasami. If you're getting sick of love triangles here, by the way, well, you ain't seen nothing yet! Back on track, Korra's kind of like the worst.
I'm with Asami.
Yeah, but when you're with her, you're thinking about me, aren't you?
That is so evil. Look at this expression on top.
Right, so Korra is constantly trying to get with Mako in Season 1 and going to his tournaments, despite him being in a relationship with Asami. And after being rejected by Mako, Korra settles with his brother Bolin. Bolin at the time had a massive crush on Korra without realizing she was going for his brother, and he just so happened to come to her at the right time after she got rejected and they started dating. Mako, being a bit of a control freak, goes to Korra and tells her to lay off his brother, and the first thing Korra does is accuse him of being jealous, which regardless of how true it might be, not exactly the play here, Korra. Oh, and then...
That's actually Korra being jealous. That's projection. Mako is trying to work through the situation. So that's... He's stuck between these weird people. Well, Korra is the weird person in this whole scenario. Like the other characters are rather normalish because they're rather plain, I would say. Korra's just an insane weirdo, and as I said, the jealous one is Korra because nobody else would say that.
Okay.
This majestically fucked up line.
I'm with Asami.
Yeah, but when you're with her, you're thinking about me, aren't you?
Slap her!
It's just not your place to say that. And then
this is where slapping the woman is justified.
Korra forces herself on him.
What? Yeah, I remember this. It's like absolutely. Korra is the abuser. She's a narcissist, if not a psychopath here. She's a complete wrecker. The ER calling her horror is so apt, so on point. This is not a Korra's not a person. She's not a human being.
So
she's a mental patient.
Noticing that the guy who says he's copying his style off of ER is actually copying the content of ER as well, talking about the same stuff.
There's not much to talk about Korra, honestly.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's kind of funny. It's what's happening.
Yeah, but he is speaking more clearly now. He's getting the slur out. Maybe the volume isn't working anymore, or he stopped drinking.
He got angry. He's like, wait, I gotta be serious. And then, but we're still talking in like 0.75 speed, so anyway.
In front of Bolin. Mako's not exactly the best person in Season 1, but does anyone ever actually acknowledge that...
Which also shows that Korra just used Bolin. She doesn't have a conscience. So she's not just a narcissist. She is a psycho. She can't relate to anyone. She doesn't care about anyone. It's amazing. Like, Korra's supposed to be the Avatar? This is not the Avatar. There's no Avatar spirit inside of her. She's not the personified spirit of the planet.
She does have the Avatar spirit in her, and she gets it killed later in the show.
Yeah, but that's another thing. And they wrecking the law is also another.
I'm just like, that just makes me laugh because they actually do it later.
Yeah, but this is it's just more stuff that proves that Korra is not actually in the Avatar: The Last Airbender world, but is a fan fiction written by hack writers. Korra is not canon. Nothing that no comic based on the show is canon. Korra is not canon. Get this into your heads. It's like this Disney Star Wars movies. They're not canon. They're just bad, not even fan fiction.
Well,
they're anti-fan fiction.
Apparently they're doing a sequel to episode 9 or another movie outside
right.
after the episodes of the 7, 8, and 9. So
what they already have Andor bombing. What the hell?
Don't ask. Disney's weird. Couldn't tell you.
They should just follow through with it, decanonize these Disney movies, and just make a proper sequel trilogy.
Get rid of Kathleen Kennedy already.
That'd be great. Just
at the very least,
they just come out with a new Star Wars, and they just forgot the past 6-7 years.
This Hydra has a lot of heads.
Yeah, that's great.
Season 1 Korra is a pretty terrible person. That's not even where this ends, as Mako finally starts developing actual feelings for Korra after this, despite being in a relationship with Asami, and Bolin lets Asami know about the kiss, causing Asami to break up with Mako, but he doesn't care and continues to date Korra anyway. And this isn't even considering the fact that after all of this, Korra trying to get with Asami's boyfriend, forcing herself on Asami's boyfriend, and Mako continuing to have feelings for and then dating the person he had a really fucked up interaction with without telling Asami. Asami and Korra eventually develop feelings for one another and begin dating with...
At the end of the show.
How does that happen? You stole my boyfriend, I hate you. Oh wait, now I kind of like you. Like, what? Huh?
From Mako's perspective, that's relatively easy. Men have a natural reaction to the female touch, because there's a female softness, and immediately, what is the English word? Produce hormones, bonding hormones. Immediately, it floods your system, which is why when you break up with an abusive girl, or wife, don't ever let her touch her. No goodbye hug, no letting her touch your arm tenderly and oh, I'm so sorry. This is why they want you to be in the same room again. This is what Amber Heard tried with Johnny Depp. And he was smart enough to not let her near him, because these psychotic women know exactly what their touch does. They don't know the science behind it, but they know that if they get to touch the guy, it's like a magic spell that happens, that washes over the mind, and it is for many men. It is very hard to resist that neuronal firework that immediately happens, which makes you then suddenly forgive the girl, the woman, for all her atrocities, all her abuse, and all her unfaithfulness, because I can give her another chance, because you're basically on drugs now. And from that point of view, we can give the excuse to Mako, because the male body, brain and body, is actually wired to fall for the whims of women. We are biologically wired to be doormats at the worst. You need to be aware of that and fight against it and protect yourself.
I was referring to Asami more so because she knows that she did this.
Oh yeah, that's just dumb. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows about the behavior of Korra would not want a relationship with her, because it could never be stable, because she's obviously a completely selfish psychopath who doesn't give a shit about how she hurts other people. And that she hurts other people.
Okay.
all of that context behind Korra and Asami's relationship, it becomes very problematic. Korra-Asami, regardless of how bold a decision it was to end the show on and how important it was for LGBT relationships in mainstream television, was built on a very icky foundation. I mean, how do you willingly fall for the girl who forced herself on your boyfriend? Romance has never been Avatar's strong suit, but The Last Airbender only included it as a very minuscule part of the main story, and it wasn't borderline creepy.
Oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender actually did the relationship building very well. Innocent and human. Korra is just like the product of a borderline insane teenager.
A staggering amount of episodes in Korra feature a variety of crackhead ships being smashed together, and it's a complete mess. Korra has way too much dating, and it detracts from a story that's already turbulent with its quality. I mean, fucking Tenzin had an ex-girlfriend, and she's in the story quite a bit. At the end of the day, The Legend of Korra is a divisive show, but the many civil conversations I've had with friends and other people who adore this show allow me to take solace in the fact that I'm not the only one who hated the shipping. So far, we've only talked about a few shows that either fumble with romance when it comes to characters having their intelligence dumbed down, but not really affecting the show too much, all the way to shipping actively detracting from the quality of the story and ruining the characters a fair bit. But none of these shows are the worst, because oh my god, I can't believe I'm finally talking about this show. Miraculous Ladybug has been my favorite ongoing catastrophe to look at from the last few years, and witnessing its fandom actively implode and lose interest over the show's long drawn out romantic tension. I've always wanted to go into this show more in depth someday.
This sounds so funny when he's playing the Persona 3 fight music, but it's just like, okay. Back to Persona music.
She looks like a Persona character.
Almost like from Persona 5, yeah.
Because it really has evolved into such a beautiful fucking train wreck. But for now, let's focus on this. This absolute abomination of a shipping chart. Jesus Christ. Miraculous, unlike all the other shows featured in this video, has romance at its center. Its plot is paper thin, with the romance being the only part of the show people seem to actually watch it for these days. Unless they're unattended children with autoplay enabled, because I refuse to believe these views are all from willing participants. So with romance actually being the focus of the show, that in theory puts it leagues above all of these shows when it comes to romance, right? Wrong.
Gay.
Very, very wrong. The characters are pure shit. Marinette is a fascinating bundle of issues, only fascinating because they make her into an obsessive and creepy stalker without realizing that her overwhelmingly negative traits don't balance out her "oh my god, that's literally me" moments. The crush she obsesses over is the popular boy in school, Adrian, and she's the exact kind of yandere, Amy Rose bundle of straw that you just want to stop and have a look in a mirror for 5 seconds. Getting jealous.
So she's another borderline girl. That's the description. She has borderline personality disorder. I've never watched this, but that's the description he just gave.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to tell a story about superheroes and romance and how you connect those, because the focus is romance or the focus is drama related to relationships.
You mean like Spider-Man?
Yeah, kind of. But Spider-Man was more about the adventure, and then romance.
It was also a lot about Peter Parker.
Yeah, his lifestyle. It was all about Peter Parker's life, which involved his relationships with other people, as well as fighting whomever. This is like
and bringing that under one hood somehow, which doesn't work as it turns out.
Not so much, but in this case, it's like, what do you do when you have superpowers, and the focus of the story is romance? Well, you use those superpowers to get in the pants of someone else. And how do you do that? You spy on them.
Well, look, the thing is with these superheroes that can't get their superhero life fit together with their private life and their relationships, especially when then they demand that, oh, you never have time for me. The equivalent to that is working as a firefighter, policeman, or emergency doctor, where you get called at random times to play the hero, that you are doing that job,
which is the ongoing. That's a very simple, straightforward. Like, what's more important, your family or your job? And
but in those instances, that is like if you watched in the 90s, everybody watched Emergency Room, especially at least the women, and you saw there that all these characters that worked in the emergency room, they were paged all the time. They were doing their 20-hour shifts. Yeah. They had no time for private life because they were constantly fighting the supervillains that are everyone's accidents, injuries, and weird diseases. And suddenly, oh God, I need to do this surgery right now. That's 12 hours because this guy came in and no one else is available. You are then the superhero that has to go save the innocent over going to your dinner with your girlfriend, because otherwise, if you choose the dinner with your girlfriend, someone's gonna die. And that's the same thing as Spider-Man going supervillain crime fighting.
Well, this is why they have characters that Spider-Man, at least in the comics, that he falls in love with, be superheroes as well, or superheroines. And this is why I also enjoyed the not the latest comic, it was like a year or two ago, with Selena Kyle finally going to marry Bruce Wayne, and she calls it off because she realizes Batman is more important than her relationship to Bruce. And it's like, that is more. Bruce knows exactly what he's doing, but he's also giving up part of his life for you. And she's like, this is wrong. I can't do this anymore. And one of those beautiful things where you respect what Batman is and his focus and why he is the way he is. He's not always against relationships per se, but he knows where his loyalty is, and that's to the city and its people. So he can't do the things that normal people can do. He can do only the things that he, as Batman, allows him to. And that's not involving himself with relationships. And this is one of the conflicts even in Smallville, if you watch the show. Why can't Clark Kent ever fall in love? Not that he can't. It's just that he can't do it for very long because there's another problem. There's another danger. And somehow, some way, his people he cares about get into danger as well. So that's an ongoing story or ongoing plot with these superhero or hero-esque characters where they got to go to danger. They have to run to the fire. And sadly, their loved ones get caught up in that in a variety of ways. So I don't mind that setup. It's how is it done in a kid's show? Probably not too well. Probably not too well with Spider-Man, even though I would say late 90s or early 90s, late 90s, middle of the 90s rather, Spider-Man was the most mature out of, well, maybe the second most mature. I think Gargoyles was probably right up there. Then there was Spider-Man, then there was X-Men. But that X-Men just became a silly soap opera at times. So, but, this is the common threads we see in all these stories of superheroes protecting their loved ones and loved ones dying and friends dying and all getting caught up in that.
Gargoyles was one of the most mature things Disney ever did as a cartoon series.
Batman was way up there. I don't know how to rate them exactly, but you could really tell the quality.
Batman animated series and Gargoyles. Gargoyles stands out because it had a developing plot.
Yeah, villains.
Batman animated series is mainly standalone episodes that are very loosely world building.
Yeah, and then you had the Mask of the Phantasm, which really showcased that whole issue of what does Batman do when he falls in love? How does that work? And instead of it being, I have to protect this person, it's like, oh, who is the villain? Why are they the way they are? And how does that work? That was a great twist on that scenario.
Yeah,
Still love that
the
film.
The only thing that annoyed me about Mask of the Phantasm is that the unmasking, the reveal, felt like a Scooby-Doo episode where, oh, the person in the costume doesn't actually fit the costume at all.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
It's just immersion breaking.
Yeah. It's like, that's a woman? What? Okay.
Tension, having his entire schedule in her room, this fucking scene.
It even smells exactly like him.
I must shed a tear for Christina V. And despite supposedly being more confident as her alter ego, Ladybug, she's the exact same broken mess. Adrian is a complete pushover due to stuff happening in his private life, and is happy to have literally anything whatsoever when he could have so much better. But then he becomes Cat Noir and turns into an absolute nightmare. Overly flirtatious, does not understand what the word no means with his constant advances on Ladybug, and is somehow worse than Marinette's stalking because consent is kind of important. And yes, I said constant advances on Ladybug, and I think you can see the insanely complicated relationship between these two characters and their alter egos now. Marinette has a crush on Adrian, and Adrian barely acknowledges her. Ladybug has a crush on Adrian, but cannot stand Cat Noir. Adrian and Cat Noir are both head over heels for Ladybug, but while Adrian is still his usual self, Cat Noir is a flirtatious douchebag with no concept of boundaries. Bada bing, bada boom, a fucking love square. The extra point is evil. And this goes on.
They're both shitheads then.
They're the same character. What is this?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
One's
probably
obsessed.
written by a person, I have no idea who, but probably again written by a person who doesn't understand actual people.
Yeah, one's
another
obsessed.
Another writer who doesn't have empathy.
Yeah, in the normal life, one's obsessed with the other. In the fake life, the other one's obsessed with the other, and they can't figure out that they're the same person or something. I don't know.
Wait, I just realized something. So these people keep making shows like this, but they had to cancel Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, well.
That doesn't add up.
Yeah, well, that's gonna happen. People are gonna say stupid shit about the past 70 years because ethics or whatever. And to hear that, it's like, it's not unexpected. It's just stupid when you see it. You're like, oh God, really? We're gonna be bashing Warner Brothers because of something, of some stereotype, which was done always done for comedic reasons, and they take it way too seriously. Because, oh, Frenchmen are so crazy and horny. I was like, what? It's a joke.
Not just that. It's obvious that Pepe Le Pew is not a good guy.
It's a joke. He never gets the girl.
That's the point. That's the point, by the way.
Yeah.
With Pepe Le Pew, it was always obvious that he's not a good guy and that the cat was creeped out and just wanted to get away. That she was uncomfortable. That was clear, and children understand that. But here, we don't have this depiction of that as actually the bad guy in these SJW shows. Because secretly, these girls want that guy.
These costumes.
That's why he gets a pass. That's why he gets a pass in being an asshole.
His costume is really weird. I'm like, this is kind of fetishistic if you're going to dress a guy up in a skin-tight suit with a cat motif. You're like, okay.
Who's into cat boys?
I don't think it's the guys. Just going to tell you right now.
Gay people and weird girls.
I would say you're probably correct, yeah. I can't see a guy reading this and go, yeah, this is totally normal. Anyway.
On for 4 seasons. 4 seasons of these love-struck morons constantly doing the stance of will they, won't they, and it gets increasingly frustrating with every episode, not helped by how creepy these dynamics are. This is a show with 4 possible ships involving the same 2 people. This is a romance show that sucks with romance because this utter
basically
sewage
the
has been
Batman
chucking
Catwoman
down
thing.
the pipeline for 4
Just bad.
seasons, with Marinette only recently
just
becoming friends with Adrian, yet still keeps up her usual routine. This show is stuck in a perpetual limbo on top of being unintentionally hilarious, and this isn't even talking about the other fanships that have been given hints at by the writers of the show, which results in even more complicated shipping charts. Seriously,
Yes,
just
it's this bad.
try to understand this. You can't. This show hurts to think and talk about. It is an overly long mixed bag of flaming shit with a sprinkle of missed opportunities, and that's why I can't stop watching it. Seriously.
That's okay. I mean, that's okay. Some people, it's like a Red Letter Media watching B movies with crappy special effects and crappy writing. Some people just enjoy that kind of masochism.
Yeah, this
Like,
guy, he
I don't
comes
have
across.
that, but
He comes across
enjoy yourself.
as ER's little brother, and it's just, yeah, it's like everything ER would say, only not as succinct and punchy, but just as fast.
I mean, that
I'm barely understandable.
ER is not speaking super fast. He's speaking clear and he's making pauses.
He has fast cuts, though. They're very
between
quick.
words, sentences, and paragraphs. Yes, he makes fast cuts because he that's the way he also delivers joke or accentuates jokes. But the fast cuts are a different thing from just fast talking.
Yeah.
So content wise, I mainly agree with what this guy's saying. I would just work on your speech. Drop this fake persona character stuff and just get your clenched jaws apart.
Alrighty, 1 minute left.
That helps. And talk with punctuation and drop the volume or alcohol or whatever it is that makes you talk like a party corpse.
Okay.
The meme of this show is absolutely atrocious, so yes, it is my favorite show right now, is actually a thing, because it's just an extraordinary sinking ship that you can avert your eyes from. There's nothing quite like a show that destroys itself despite the potential to be actually good being in plain sight. But that's a discussion for another day.
Okay.
Not sure how to end this video. I think I made my point in the beginning, so I won't repeat it. So, you know, watch that if you want the illusion of an actual conclusion. Okay, I will actually end this because conclusions are my impulse.
Alright, whatever.
Let him do it then.
What is he doing? Wasting my time.
It's 40 seconds.
He's done. Anyways, he's finished.
Okay, there.
Anyway. Alrighty. That was good. Didn't mind that.
That fucking thumbnail. Ew.
Yeah, just work on your speech. Work on your speech. Then you can start working on the delivery, but first you need to work on the speech.
Alright. Here we go. Stream memes for today. Thank you, sir.
Please let there be memes.
I am guilty of 15 counts of second-degree murder. What? Memes from Melvin? Okay.
Oh, it's a meta meme.
Oh my god. My boys ain't never been the same since the show ended. Oh,
no. Oh.
See, Melvin, John-Luc Retard showed you up on the rainbow dog. Suck it.
Here we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters all hugging this one dude.
You know, harems for kids.
Yeah. Strangely enough, the devil girl on the bottom right is one of the sanest characters.
Alright.
Why is Tom there?
He is mine. Oh boy. The girls in the harem. Ours. What?
So basically, the one before, just more specific.
Yeah, this is. I know the name of this. I just can't remember. High school
That's
something.
Bill.
Bill Cipher.
Oh. All right. Now kiss. Okay. Yeah, that's shipping. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There is a threat on Earth, Steven Universe. Muscle Man, you know who else? Okay. I have done nothing wrong ever in my life. Me, I know this, and I love you.
I want to agree. Like, she looks the most borderline, but I think she's the least in the show.
Yeah. Cool. Don't for what?
Do it for her.
Oh, do it for her. Okay.
I forgot what the text is beneath it.
What is shipping? It's so accurate it hurts.
I'm waiting for the Spaceballs meme.
Oh. Fursuit, he's hot as a human, but he was hotter as a furry? What?
Wait, now I remember the thing to do it for her. The text under it is "Don't forget, you're here forever." It's from The Simpsons.
This one?
The collage.
All right.
Remember.
Interviewer. Oh no. And why do you think humanity? What? And why do you think humanity has gone too far? You mean? Me. This is a shipping ships.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
It looks like one of these mega fortresses by supervillains who stole a bunch of ships and made a sea fortress out of it.
Maybe they just turned it into a hotel chain. I don't know.
Get that one away from me. I'm skipping it. No.
Oh my god.
Oh god, no.
Is there blood on the right?
Jesus.
Blood, what do you mean blood?
Two characters grew more than the main
shipping
characters of Evangelion. Yeah.
No, the shipping shift. No, it's not blood. That's just the shadow of the thing.
No context day to day. I'm not going to play that, but I will later. Don't worry. I know this meme. Well, I've seen it at least.
Oh no.
I understand. I'm not a cute girl. I'm a guy or whatever.
The video was 17 seconds.
The red pills will continue until I get a GF. Oh dear. I can't believe I found a love that's so pure and true, but it was all bullshit. Oh.
Oh god.
There's our Schrodinger having a good time. Do you guys ever think about what it would be? Oh. Bubba knows what's up. Kind of an old one, yeah. All right. I think we saw that one before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
That's not original, Felix.
What?
All right. I ship ships. That's cute. Shipping ships.
Yeah, you see, here's the original.
Amazing.
Okay.
But that's not the shipping ships.
Anyway.
Don't forget you're here forever. Okay.
Yeah, that's the original.
Okay.
That's what's under there, yeah.
Megumin X Darkness. Oh boy. Then we have Love is War, Megumin X Kesma fans, Darkness X Kesma fans, Shipping Wars. Why is there a garden gnome on a truck being towed? What?
I will not educate you on garden gnome lore.
Thank you. I'm happy to be in the dark. All right. That was a weird meme. I don't know what the heck I was reading half the time there. But good video. Kind of quick. Thought would have taken longer, but we didn't talk too much. All right. Not bad. I guess it was technically an anime day as well because it was about animation, but Western animation, I guess. Oh, just dropped something. Excuse me.
Whoops.
There we go. Okay. So, not bad. That took, how long did that take? About 2 hours? Not even. 1 hour and 43 minutes. Not bad. Not bad. So, yeah, thank you guys. That was a great suggestion. I think Mateus was going to give us another one, but I was like, oh, we're good. We can do this one. So, very relaxing. Yeah, all I have to say is thank you. And if you haven't voted yet, please do vote on your top favorite games or experiences of games from the poll I have in the description. There's 155 games. Vote on all the ones you believe are worth someone's time. So if you were to explain that to someone, why is, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII worth your time? You could tell us why. That's the kind of gaming list this is. We're still compiling data, so it's going to take some time, but I think we got the formula figured out, at least I do, for our criteria. That will get a top 25 list going probably the next month. Very slow process, but it's fun to find out. Anyway, thanks for the suggestion. We'll talk to you guys real soon. Have yourself a great evening. And we'll talk to you, I guess, tomorrow. We have a day off tomorrow? I don't know. I can't remember the schedule.
Tomorrow's off.
Tomorrow's off? All right. Fair enough. See you guys later.
Good night. Kimmen's gone.